All right, so if you are new here, welcome. I'm Becca Boschich. I'm a photographer, artist, and educator in Orlando, Florida. I go live each week with business information that can help up-level your business. This year, we're focusing more on things like pricing, profitability, and things that help you become a sustainable business. So welcome to all of you that are here. Today, we're talking about tax deductions for photographers. And though this is always, my content is focused for photographers, if you are an industry professional, this will benefit you as well, because these items are things that some of you may already know about, some may be surprised to know about. But either way, if you're a small business, this is going to be helpful for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You guys know, if you have any questions, please post in the comments below. If you think of a question later, come back and post it. I'm happy to come back and answer those for you. Okay. So Millie says, I'm so looking forward to today's topic. Yes, absolutely. Me too. This is something that we need to talk about, because this is something that ultimately is going to save you money in your business. Okay. So tax deductions for photographers. I just want to preface this with, I am not an accountant or a lawyer. This is in no way legal or financial advice. And what I'm sharing today is information I've learned working with personal accountants, and it's highly recommended that you consult with your own accountant. Okay. So with that being said, we as photographers have a ton of expenses. It is not uncommon for our yearly expenses to be anywhere from 10 to 20,000 or more, depending on your niche and what type of business that you have. Federal tax law allows you to deduct several different business expenses from your taxable income each year. And this can be super beneficial, okay, as a reduction to taxable income reduces the amount of income that can be taxed. And therefore, in a nutshell, what it does is it reduces the amount of money that you will pay in taxes, okay? The income that we make is taxed. So when you have deductions, those deductions reduce that number. So the total number that's being taxed by the government is going to be less, and therefore you will pay less, okay? There are probably a lot of expenses that you are spending every day in your business that you're not realizing are a deduction. And so that's why it's really important to make sure you document all of your expenses. Get the help of an accountant so they can help you maximize your business, so you're not needlessly paying money. Okay, we spend enough in our businesses with our expenses. We don't need to pay money that we're not responsible for paying in the first place. Okay, so for definition purposes, a deduction and a write-off are the same thing. Okay, the Internal Revenue Code, it's very specific about the type of expenses that you can deduct. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, you might be familiar with what's called a Schedule C. That is also known as a profit and loss statement. Okay. And this is where your income and your expenses are documented. So if you haven't grabbed a pen and paper by now, now is the time to do it, because we're going to take a deep dive into the expenses you should be documenting. Both things you've already probably thought of and things you may not have. All right. But a word of warning, excuse me. Not all deductions are fully deductible, which is why you need to consult a certified accountant, okay? It's their job to not only know the rules, but to know when they change. I have a fabulous accountant who literally sends updates and emails to all of his clients, letting us know any changes that are happening. So we know if there's something new we should be documenting this year that we didn't last year, so we can maximize our tax season, okay, our tax year. So it's always beneficial to have someone on your side. It's not as expensive as you think, and you can write those expenses off when you utilize an accountant, guys. So think about it, okay? But like I said, it's not only their job to know the rules, but to know when they change. So for example, things like client gifts and meals are not fully deductible. You can deduct a part of it, but not all of it. I think right now for gifts, it might be up to $25 that you can deduct. Meals are not 100%. So again, the whole entire reason why you should consider hiring an accountant to help you with the ins and outs of tax law. Okay. Jennifer wants to know if I can share my accountant. Yes, Jen, we have people from all over the world actually in here. So I am happy to share that with you guys. I'll post it in the Facebook group, because I know there's also a lot of local people to me. If you're in the state of Florida, then you can absolutely utilize the accountant that I have. You don't have to be in the same city. A lot of these things can now be done fully online. We're in a digital age, so you don't have to be in the same city as your accountant. But my accountant is a wonderful person, super kind, and he has an educator's heart. And that's what I love about him. He really teaches me a lot along the way. So I have a good understanding of not just that we need to do these things or not do these things, but why. Okay, so I'll be happy to share that later with you guys. All right, so pen and paper out. We're gonna first start with operating expenses, what it takes to run your business. So number one, advertising. All right, that would be things like Facebook ads or featured vendor fees. Okay, if you are a featured vendor on offbeatbride.com, okay, you're going to be paying a fee, and some of those fees may be per month or they may be per year, but that is an advertising fee that is deductible. Facebook ads, like I mentioned, that is deductible. Okay, so any of those advertising marketing materials or services that you use, that is deductible. Okay. Millie said, I don't think he's taking new clients if the one you recommended to me. Oh, Millie, are you kidding me? Oh, okay. I'm going to message him and find out. Because if he can squeeze some of you in, that would be wonderful. I'll talk to him, Millie. He's a very busy man, so it may just be the time of year too. I'll check on that for you, okay? Number two, financial fees. That would be your bank charges, any ATM fees, transaction fees, PayPal fees. Guys, we typically pay at least 3% if you're using PayPal or you're accepting payment through CRMs like Honeybook or Dubsado. Especially if you're someone who works in IPS or if you work in weddings, you're going to see how quickly that ends up being a large chunk that's taken out of your income. So to be able to deduct that, it's going to give you some of that back. So that's very important. Number three, software and programs. So we're talking Lightroom and Photoshop. That's your Adobe subscription, right? Your CRM like Honeybook or Dubsado. And also your gallery delivery systems, whether you use PicTime or PixieSet, that is a deductible fee, okay? Number four, marketing materials. That would be business cards, pamphlets, and even banners for vendor events. If you guys are doing vendor events, let's say you are a wedding photographer or you're at some sort of event that your niche really would fit well in, things like the tablecloth, the vinyl banner that you're having made to help attract people to your table, all of those things are fees that are deductible. Okay, so those are marketing materials, and so make sure that you're documenting that. All right, cleaning, repair, and maintenance of your gear. You should be having your cameras cleaned. I would say typically at least once a year, depending on how busy you are. Lenses are calibrated. That's important. So cleaning, repair, and maintenance, that's all a deduction. Okay. Office supplies. We're talking pens, papers, planners, calendars, stationery, tape, staples. All of those little tiny things, they add up. And that is a business expense if you're utilizing that for your business. All right. Your actual home office space. If you have a place in your home where you are conducting business like I do, my office currently is in my home. You can actually write off the square footage. Okay. Now, if you have a studio, you can write off the fees for your studio, like your rent and your utilities. But you need to know that if you have a studio and a home office, you typically cannot deduct both. Again, reasons why to have an accountant, because they're going to let you know which would be best for you to add as a deduction. Okay. Number 9, electronics like your printer, computers, your laptop. Okay. Number 10, postal fees. If you have a PO box, you need to remember to count that, record that. Stamps, shipping, any shipping supplies. Okay. That's important as well. If you are an IPS photographer, that's an in-person sales photographer who handles prints and products for your clients, and you hand deliver them and you purchase gift wrap packaging bags for that, that needs to be recorded as well. Okay. Number 11, permits. Now, there may be times, I think most of us would have, a lot of us have permit fees applied to our clients if they choose a location for a session that requires a permit. However, there may be a situation where you want to conduct a styled shoot on a beach and they require a permit for that. There are situations where you would have to pay for those, and that is an expense that's deductible that you should be recording. Okay. Number 12, internet, antiviral software, anything that's involved with that, that's a deduction. Number 13, data storage. That means your external hard drives and then your cloud devices too, whether that might be Dropbox or Carbonite. Those are deductions as well. Just side note, I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but I know a lot of us just rely on external hard drives. And to be honest with you, those are designed to last approximately 2 to 5 years. So you need to really check your contracts to see what is your commitment to data storage, because those things can just go dead at any time and you lose everything. I'm a very big supporter and believer in cloud storage instead of or in addition to external hard drives. So that's something to think about. Okay. Number 14 is office furniture, your desk, your chair. That is able to be a deduction because you need that to run your business. You need that to sit down and work at your desk, to edit your photos, to have client communication. That is a deduction. Okay. Any questions so far before we move on? Daniela says client gifts are up to 25. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was thinking that was right. Per client, and some food is 100% deductible due to the pandemic or something like that. Yep, exactly. Ask an accountant about that. They change the rules every single year. I know that that's why I appreciate the regular emails that my accountant sends out to his clients, because it's full of education, because things ebb and flow with tax law. Absolutely does. Okay, we're going to move on to vehicular expenses. I promise I can say that word. Number 1, your auto insurance. Okay, things like your license and your registration. If you have an auto club membership like AAA, that's a deduction. Okay, just a side note on these things though. Speak to your accountant, because if you have a part-time business, some of these things that we're talking about today, especially when it comes to your vehicular expenses, you may only be able to deduct a percentage of the total amount that you spend. Okay, so with part-time businesses, there's always going to be an evaluation of how much are you using a certain item or service personally, and how much of it are you using professionally. And again, that's where an accountant can help you with that. Okay, so also mileage, that is an expense. Okay, right now I believe it's 58 cents per mile that we can get credit for. All right, I really recommend that you talk to your accountant about mileage versus travel fees, because when you charge travel fees, you can't take a deduction for mileage as well. And when you charge travel fees to a client, you're paying 3% to collect that, typically with your CRM. And it's also counted as income, so you're paying federal taxes on that travel fee as well. So I would sit down and have a frank conversation with your accountant about how much you are traveling, whether it's local or if you are a photographer who travels nationwide, statewide, all over the world, to find out what is best for you and your particular situation. Okay, tolls are another thing too, another item that is definitely a deduction. And again, depending on how much you're using for personal and business will determine what you can deduct of that total amount. Okay, so travel and entertainment, we talked about this just a little while ago. Things like lodging, meals, tips, parking, car rental, airfare, and client gifts. Those are all things that you can consider as deductions. Okay, if you are attending a retreat and you have to reserve a hotel or an Airbnb, that would be counted as an expense. Okay, cost of goods, prints, products. If you offer things like albums, cards, canvases, and wall art, those are deductions. Those are considered costs of goods. Okay. Next is your equipment. All right. So if you have well, let me go back because I jumped ahead just a little bit here. But equipment expenses like your camera, your lenses, flashes, camera bags, tripods, light boxes, those are all very expensive things that we need to make sure that we're documenting. Also document your rental equipment. If you rent anything, that is a deduction as well. Okay, that's an expense that you're using to conduct your business. All right, very important because that can get expensive too. Guys, my live is showing up kind of weird here. If you guys are still with me, can you just tell me that you can hear me real quick? I want to make sure. Just say hello or something so I know we're okay. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about professional expenses. Okay, so we're talking about association dues and membership fees. Like if you are a member of Professional Photographers of America, then that is a due or a fee that you can deduct on your taxes. Okay. Also, business insurance. We've talked about insurance for photographers before, but your liability, your gear, errors, and emissions insurance, that is a deduction to make note of. Okay. Let's talk health insurance, guys, because right now, depending on your state, depending on also how involved you are part-time, full-time in your business, you can write off your health insurance premiums. We all know how expensive health insurance is, and if you are self-employed and you don't have a partner or a spouse whose insurance you are part of, it's extremely expensive, and this is such a fantastic benefit to take note of. Okay, accounting and legal fees. Daniela says she can hear. Okay, great. I'm glad, guys, because it all of a sudden shows that usually there's a number that will show me how many of you are joining me live. It literally is blank right now. So I was like, did I lose everybody? What's going on? So thank you for still being here with me and letting me know it's okay. But yes, so back to that, accounting and legal fees. I know people get nervous about investing in an accountant or a lawyer, but I will tell you, a lot of times you can get consultations for free, and they can tell you how much you need to expect when investing in certain services. But either way, that is a tax deduction. All right. So the person who is prepping your taxes for you, their services are also deductible as a business expense. All right. Don't forget your licensure. All right. We're talking city, county, and state. Now, not all of us have city and county. I know I do. So that's something to take note of. But either way, those are things that you need to consider. Also, let's talk professional development. We're talking about professional expenses. Professional development means continuing education courses, coaching, if you hire someone for a specific training, okay? If you attend a styled shoot, which I know a lot of you here have attended my styled shoots before, that is a deductible expense. Also, business and trade related books, publications, if they're trade specific magazines or online subscriptions, that is considered deductions. Consider continuing education. And that's something that we all do and should be doing throughout our career, no matter how long you have been in the photography industry. Okay. Also, subcontractors. All right. Subcontractors are your second shooters, your editors, graphic designers, assistants, and virtual assistants. All right. And if you are working with these people, typically if you are paying more than $600, then you have to, what is it? What is that form? Is it 1040? Oh, if you're paying out more than $600, then they are considered maybe what I want to call a formal subcontractor. Don't quote me on that, but talk to your accountant about that too, okay? Because there's some additional things that you need to be doing if you're spending more than that. I did that one time and wasn't aware of it until I got to my accounting appointment, so I just want to throw that out there, okay? So next we're going to talk about your phone, okay? Your cell bill, that is a deduction. The phone itself is a deduction, okay? Your phone case, your pop socket, your screen protectors, okay? Your chargers and your cords, those are all an expense if you're using that for your business. Again, if you have a part-time business or maybe your income is at a certain level where it may be questionable, maybe it's not where you want it to be yet, your accountant can help tell you if you can write that off in full or whether it's going to be a portion. But either way, make sure you document that for them. All right. So thank you, Daniela, 1099. Why could I not remember that? What was I calling it? 1040? 1099. Thank you. So if you're paying over $600 or more to a subcontractor, you need to have them fill out a 1099. You need to have that. So lastly, miscellaneous items. So any charitable donations that your business may be giving, that is a deduction. Make sure that you record that, okay? And also copyright and trademark fees. If you are getting involved in any of that, that is an expense to consider as well, all right? And lastly, for miscellaneous, props and client closet clothing and accessories. That is a deduction. Just note that you cannot write off your own clothing. Like if you've got a wedding uniform or you have certain clothes that you purchase specifically to wear when you are working with clients, that is not a deduction currently that you can take. However, props, client closet, clothing, and accessories, you can. That is for your clients to help you conduct business, okay? So this is a pretty comprehensive list, I know, and there very well may be other expenses within your business that are deductible that I did not mention today. But what I hope is that by sharing this with you guys is that you leave with the knowledge of the typical items you should be keeping record of and maybe inspire you to dig a little bit deeper with the aid of an accountant, okay? That way you can be sure that you're receiving credit where credit is due so you aren't wasting money that should otherwise be kept in your pockets. Any questions, guys? I hope this served you well today. I know it was a lot in a short amount of time, but super important, okay? There's a lot of things that we don't think about that we should be recording and we absolutely should not have to pay for, okay? We have so many expenses in our business, so if we are not recording the expenses that we are making in the first place, that impacts our total income, our total profit, and therefore our sustainability as a business. If we are not making an income, we don't stay in business, okay? And with, you know, a profession that we have where our expenses and overhead can be very high, being super focused on things like this is incredibly important to your bottom line, incredibly important. All right, guys, I'm not seeing any questions. If there aren't any questions, let me know if this served you well. I'm going to be putting a poll up soon so we can choose our topic for next week. And again, the replay will be up, so if you need to go back and take notes, it'll be up in just a few minutes. All right, guys, I'm going to give you one more second because Facebook's being weird and showing me you're not here, but I see comments, so I know you are. Daniela says your own wardrobe for work should be under uniform or deductions. I'll have to check again. They've gotten really strict about that, Daniela. When I was a dental hygienist, I was able to write off my uniforms, and they stopped that a few years ago, and that also translates over into our industry as well, unless that has changed this year, okay? I have not had my appointment with my accountant yet, but as far as I have been informed, they are not accepting that. You're welcome, Danielle. Hi, Isley. It's nice to see all of you guys. All right. So if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a great day. I hope this served you well. And I will see you live next week.